because you've got a lot of space, and we did this on purpose. A lot of space. Hey, it's Jennifer Lee, and welcome back. Today we're talking about the do's and don'ts of virtual studios with recording audio and video. It is a big pet peeve of mine for when people use virtual recording studios that they're not set up properly and the video isn't set up properly as well, in addition to the audio. Today I have a YouTube star here on my channel. We have Dani Meager. She's on to talk about video because obviously that's what she does, and she wants to get more into the podcasting space, and she's helping me out today. So, hey, Dani.
How's it going?
This is her first time on a recording platform for podcasting. Riverside FM is what we're using today, but of course you can use many of them. There is Squadcast. There is also Zencastr. A lot of people do use Zoom. I prefer personally these recording studios because they're built for sound and they're built to help you with the podcast aspect. Opposed to Zoom is used more for a meeting. Yes, it does record, and it's great software if you need to record meetings, recap on any notes or anything specifically mentioned in the meeting. But I just find the virtual recording studios, if you're going to record a podcast, these are great for you because you can look at the levels, you can have studio quality sound, and the video is also great as well. So Dani, let's talk about sound first, because you're a voiceover actor in addition to having your YouTube channel. And even for your YouTube channel, you got to make sure that you have proper sound. For podcasting, it is imperative to have a microphone, because you got to remember, even if you do video, which is very important to do because you've got to be on YouTube for that searchability, you also have to have good audio because it's going to be used as audiograms on your social media. But not only that, you want to be able to put on Spotify and Apple to obviously widen your audience and have it on a lot of podcast players. So if you don't have good sound, people aren't going to listen to you. So what type of mic are you using today, Dani?
I have an Elgato Wave 3, which is a microphone for streaming. And I feel like it's a pretty simple USB microphone that doesn't have anything too crazy going on. It's got lights on the front. It's got a little stand, but you can fix it up. And I just enjoyed that because it's just so clear where it's pointing, if you're on mic or if you're not. And it also just sounds pretty nice in less treated rooms, which when I'm streaming, I normally stream in front of whatever collection I'm doing, so I can't treat my entire house properly. So this kind of mic is just helpful for that and not too crazy expensive.
And with these studios, a lot of people don't realize that their microphone settings sometimes need to be set to in their actual computer. So either you're using a Mac or a PC, you've got to go into the settings before you step into the recording studio, because I'm using a Yeti Blue, and sometimes, a lot of the times with Yeti, they will jack up the sound in your computer settings to like 100, and then it doesn't matter when you get on something like a Riverside or a Zencastr or a Squadcast, the mic is not working properly or does not sound great because everyone's getting too hot, meaning not that you're hot, your sound is too hot. So you really want to make sure it's set properly in your computer and it's set properly here on whatever you're using. Riverside, all of them, they have a nice little tab where you can pull down your mic, make sure your mic is also on, because we had that sometimes when you switch on to these programs, just because your mic was on the computer doesn't mean it's going to carry on. So my computer, Dani caught it with her brilliant ear. My mic was not attached to this program. It was attached to the computer. So you really want to make sure that you're checking all of this, or you're not going to get great sound.
I think one of the easiest ways is if you have your headphones on, you can hear a little bit of a difference. So it'll sound like you're talking in a bigger room, because chances are where you set up your camera is where your computer would record from. So the sound would be coming from way up here when my microphone is down here. So already that is a huge amount of space and a really big difference. So one of the ways I've noticed is if you tap your laptop or near your webcam or something like that, if you hear that in your headphones, then you know that you're on the wrong microphone.
I always recommend to people, and I know headphones aren't popular. A lot of people do use them. A lot of people don't like using them. But especially when you're a beginner in podcasting, because I come from a radio background, you come from obviously a space with microphones as well, being a talented voice actor, being professional, you want to have headphones because, to Danny's point too, with the microphone, especially USB microphones, you're maybe not using them as close compared to if you're using an XLR microphone when it's about this distance from you. So you really want to be able to hear, because like she said, hers is the capability that if you're not on it directly, it still picks her up. But mine doesn't. Mine is strictly dynamic. And if the sound doesn't shoot that right in here, I'm going to have dead zone, especially because I am a head talker and I've had to change it. So you really want to make sure you're not moving off your microphone. And another thing is too, I'm not sure, Danny, if yours has this, but because my USB microphone is a USB microphone, it gives you the choice of what microphone pattern you have. So I'm using dynamic, which is used in radio, which of course is used if you see people public speaking on a microphone in a conference, or here for podcasting. Again, sound shooting direct. If you're using omnidirectional setting, which my mic does have, you'll get a lot of that echo, and you're going to pick up a lot of noise outside the window, out in the hallway, and it's not going to sound as good because that's meant for multi-people in certain specific situations.
Yeah, my microphone doesn't have that. It just gives you the one option, which is really nice, and all the settings are on the front. Sometimes microphones have like different buttons, like mute buttons are like on the back where you probably aren't looking at your microphone. So give it a test run first. See what the different buttons do. Listen through your headphones because you'll have the time, and then you will understand everything a little bit better there.
Love it. And now let's give some video tips, because that's what you love doing, editing videos. And this is something that I also see all the time, is making sure that we're not positioned in the squares properly. So obviously, after you see this, Danny has edited it, but you want to make sure that, you know, if you're going from this square and then she edits it, she's got enough room for us and that we're actually in the middle. Because I've seen it a lot of times, and this is professional companies, they will have a system like this or use a Zoom or something like this, and people are cut out or they're enlarged because the way that they were filmed wasn't the right settings for whatever device they're on, and it just doesn't look good. At least when Danny cuts this, we'll now be able to use this for YouTube Shorts, use it for Reels, be able to put it into other different dimensions, so we can use it for many different formats. Anything else, Danny?
I think one of the things that is probably just thought about less is if you're doing a video podcast, you likely have multiple people. So you want to keep the perspective similar, because while we can adjust the ratio of the video and everything, if I'm here, the square to actually have me fully in it is going to be smaller. But if I'm back here and Jen is also about the same distance, that's going to be able to make everything like a lot more even. So when you're setting up, just take a look at the screens that you have before you and be like, okay, are we similar sizes? Are we taking up similar amounts of space in our screen and everything like that? Is our lighting a little bit similar? All those kinds of things will just translate to better video later. It's a very small detail, and obviously there's limitations, but as much as you can, if you notice that you're a few inches away from your camera and the other person is really far away, be like, wait, can one of us adjust, or can we both adjust so it's a little bit closer in perspective in the screen? Because obviously audio, there's a lot more editing you can do that you can piece together, but in video it can look very choppy if you're trying to adjust everything, zoom in, zoom out, and all of that to make it look even.
And I noticed we need to actually adjust ours a little bit, because you've got a lot of space, and we did this on purpose, a lot of space above you, and I don't. So who wants to switch so we can show?
There we go. That's a lot closer.
It does, and it looks a lot different.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'll just maybe move a little bit back because I can. There we go. Oh, there we go. Yay, that's what we want. We want it to look like this, not that. Also, maybe think about your background too. It's like I have some nice art. Blue wall is striking. Danny has her beautiful collection behind her. make sure that you've got a professional element to it. Yes, we're all in our homes, so sometimes we don't have the luxury of where we get to record, but, make your bed. Make sure that you don't have a lot of clutter behind you. Make sure that, like Danny said, you're lit properly.
Yeah, I find it makes a really big difference as well if you think about how many elements are in your background. Because yes, I have a lot of individual items, but you'll notice it looks pretty even across the board. And if you look at Jen's, well, there is a lot going on in the background. There's only like 2 elements of change. We've got the art and the bed and then the blue wall. That's pretty easy, and it's not like chaotic. So we don't also have a lamp, a tree, the windowsill, a desk. Like, too many things in the background will start to make it look a little bit less put together.
I like this idea. I want you to come on every video. It makes it way more fun. Those are your tips and tricks for having great video and having great sound when you're using a recording software. I don't care which recording software you use. We listed so many of them. A lot of them have obviously their own pros and cons to them. Whatever you're comfortable with, but always make sure you have great sound and great video, because you gotta remember, the world is watching. You don't know who's gonna see your stuff, and you can always refilm something. Once it's out there, you can't do that. So thank you so much, Danny, for coming on. I'm gonna throw the link to your channel in obviously the show notes so you can follow her, because she's got amazing content. I don't know, you're the YouTuber, I feel like, more. I'm always like, ring the bell, follow me, but I just love giving podcast advice. So thank you so much.